Hey guys, and welcome back. I do believe this is going to be episode number 12 of our Dark Souls Thief playthrough. We're already on episode number 12, which means we should be very close to the end. This may in fact be the last episode. All we have to do now is get rid of the demon centipede, or whatever it's called, then go tackle the bed of chaos, and then after that Gwyn, because we have actually done pretty much everything. We didn't kill the Moonlight Butterfly. Nor did we tackle any of the Great Hollows or Ash Lake, because, well, there's really nothing to do in there. There's no boss or anything. There's a couple items you might want to grab, but other than that, there's not really a whole lot. So, nice. Didn't even take any damage there. Not really worried about that area. But for the most part, we've done everything we've wanted to do, so that's that, you know? We tackled the DLC, except for Calamite. And we tackled the Painted World of Ariamis, took out Priscilla, because she has a nice dagger, even though we're not using it currently, but we may use it in the future. Maybe like if we do a New Game Plus playthrough, which there's no plans to at this time, but you never know. Ah. Oh, bad timing on my roll. I love the way you just hit the ground hard. Oh, that was bad timing, but I still got out of it. And killed that thing. So now we can grab... Oh, we already have the ring. But we really won't need it because we're on a pretty... Oh, shoot. Good platform here. Wow, I didn't know that was so delayed. Huh. It's been a while. It's been a while. We can also cut off the tail. Although we might just kill him before we get to the tail. I was trying to... Hello? Where's that tail at? Let's get that tail. And that's the tail gone. So we've really reduced his effectiveness here. And I'm pretty sure he cannot be bled, but let's find out. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Oh wait, hang on. Can he be bled? Was that a bleed? Nah. Oh shoot, what the heck was that? Looked like an explosion after he jumped up in the air. And that's that. Yeah, this does massive damage to the demon centipede, or centipede demon rather. Terry's drink of choice is black coffee, hot, with nothing in it. Black coffee, hot. Stirred, not shaken. It's not really even stirred, there's nothing to stir it for. Who wants to take a lava shower? Oh yeah. Really kills all the germs and bacteria. And you too, but hey, you know, it works. So let's get to some more of the comments. This one's from episode number 5. Minecraft Banana says, Fox, I have a question. What do you do for a living? I think you are a cop, just guessing. Can you please tell me? Well, I have a feeling you know what I do for a living, so I'll leave it at that. Chaporuz says, I wear the Ring of Steel protection when I am doing cosplays with low defense. That makes sense. I don't mean to say that the ring is completely useless. It's obviously not completely useless, but I think there are almost always better choices if you're not necessarily going for a cosplay. It's understandable if you're like doing a cosplay build and you really want that defense. In that case, you can't use heavier armor because it would ruin your cosplay. So that makes sense. Ko Narisaka says, why not do more endurance? Well, I probably have by this point. So by the time you read by the time I read this comment out, I probably have already done more endurance. But if you mean why not do more endurance versus vitality, I do. I don't mind doing it. It's fine. It's actually beneficial in many ways if you're good at dodging and good at rolling and all that. But many players find it odd to put so much into endurance and not into vitality, because in many games you're really focused on getting your health up, because being able to take more damage is one of the most beneficial things in most RPGs, whereas this is not most RPGs. Soul of a Brave Warrior. Michael PCG says, I don't understand how people can drink anything at Starbucks. They are so overpriced and their stuff isn't even good. Well, I wouldn't say it's bad or not good. I would say yes, it's overpriced. Starbucks will give discounts to certain individuals. That's all. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to say anything else on that. You guys can figure out what I'm talking about. So I've been known to stop at Starbucks from time to time. I think it's not for me personally, I would never do drive-through Starbucks for the most part, unless maybe like I was looking for their chai tea latte, which I really like, and in fact we named our dog after that, chai tea latte. But for me, it's more of the experience. Like when I pay for a Starbucks drink, I'm not just paying for the drink. I'm paying for the drink and the experience and the right, not the right's not the right word, but the opportunity to sit there. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I got screwed right there by that. I'm in trouble, possibly. Okay, we're good now. You're paying for the opportunity and the ability to sit in their store for a while. So you can sit there, use their free Wi-Fi access, do whatever else you feel like you need to do or want to do, and, you know, talk to friends and just enjoy the experience of being in a different place. And that's something I really learned in Japan. People in Japan really understood the idea of experiences. Like, people in Japan go to cafes all the time, and you know, you'll go to a little cafe that serves nothing but these little tiny, like, what we in the U.S. might consider like feminine style desserts, like a little tiny bit of sweet potato or what's kind of like sweet potato, yam pie or something, a small little like lemon dessert, a little tiny cupcake or something. And really, it's about the experience of being there, being somewhere else, enjoying some unique foods or drinks that you don't normally have the opportunity to consume, and just having a good time with some friends, hanging out, and you know, a change of scenery, change of environment, basically, is why I think people pay for it. I gave that answer probably too much time. I probably didn't need to give that extended, lengthy answer, but hey, you've got my side of the story, and that's the rest of the story. What's that from, guys? Someone will know it. My dad used to listen to that in the car, and I would hear it. Can't think of the guy's name that did it, but someone will call it out. Is it worth it to buy Dark Souls again to play with better quality? I own it for Xbox. I assume by Xbox you mean Xbox 360, not the original Xbox, since it didn't come out on that. Yes. Definitely yes, because not only are you going to get the game in better quality with a better visuals, with better frame rate if you set it to that, but you can also install a variety of mods, some of which could affect gameplay. You can even install mods that cause enemies to come at you from greater distances, which is known as the aggression mod or the aggro mod or something like that. You can get mods that change the way things look, just for visual effects. You can get a mod that makes the whole game play in like black and white or the monochrome or something that looks like the game Limbo. You can get a mod that puts the game in first-person perspective. I mean, there are a variety of different mods you can get for the game that make it interesting in different ways, and I think it's more than worth it. I can't believe I almost got killed by Knight Kirk. What an embarrassing thing that would be, to be killed by Knight Kirk of all things. I don't know if I've ever died to Knight Kirk, honestly. I used to do Knight Kirk PvP cosplay. His sword actually isn't very effective, but it does have bleed effect on it. That's the one redeeming quality about his sword. Other than that, the barbed straight sword is kind of a useless weapon in many respects. So, I am actually going to cheat. Well, it's not really cheating, but I'm not going to do this the totally legit way. Alright, that's some good coffee, because this battle, I hate it so much. But I think everyone does, you know. It's a very disappointing fight, obviously, for more reasons than one. Yep, this is how I'm going to do it, guys. Well, actually, now that I think about it, I can just run in there and do it. What am I thinking? Yeah, this first one, you can run in there. You don't need to worry about shooting it. You have to shoot the second one. And then quit out. I used to Homeward Bone, but actually, that ends up being a long run back from the bonfire, and that's not necessary. Quit out, and it puts you right in front of the fog wall. See? Easiest way to do that. Then use the bow on the other one. Okay, that's why that felt strange. I'm like, wait a minute, why am I using a bow here? This doesn't feel right. I love how you break the branches as you slide down. Woo-wee. That's such a weird segment of the game, you know, there's no other segment that feels like that. It's just kind of odd. Basically, you run on the other side. Yeah, on the other side right here. And you should be pretty much 100% safe here for the most part. And then you can just shoot this thing. And you want to have at least, I would say, bare minimum 10 arrows just in case you start missing. Because in some cases, it can actually be difficult to hit this thing properly. Like sometimes you just keep shooting and shooting and it won't register the hit for whatever reason. Yeah, see, like right now. Looks like it needs to be very exact at times. There we go. Then quit out again. You guys get the idea. V1NCN7 says, I think no one denies the worthlessness of the Silver Steel Ring. You mean the Ring of Steel Protection? Yeah, it is essentially worthless in my opinion. Like I said, unless you're doing a cosplay build or something very particular, there are better choices, always. He also says, same guy, V1NCN7. I always noticed that Sense Fortress is a big increase in difficulty, but I never thought about the difficult placement of the enemies there. Thank you for that note. Yeah, that's something I noticed. It didn't take me too long to notice it, but you'll realize that not only is there an increase in difficulty in terms of the enemies doing more damage and having more health, but their placement in most cases makes it difficult to impossible to get around them for a backstab. So you can't necessarily rely on backstabs. You can't necessarily just go around them and backstab them. You have to actually parry or find another way. You can still be knocked off this ledge by like the elbow joint of the arm, so be careful there. And you can still be killed in here by the chaos spell. And done. By the way, if you have any piece of the Armor of Thorns from Knight Kirk, if you're wearing any piece of that armor, you can actually kill this boss by simply rolling into it. Which is kind of interesting. You simply just roll to kill a boss. Only boss in the game you can roll into and kill in one shot. By far, obviously. Alright guys, let us warp back to the Firelink Shrine. We have all 4 Lord Souls. And then Ricky Spanish says, I've been married for 20 years. We are a rare breed. Nowadays we are. Older couples tend to stay together. And I think a lot of them stay together because they just don't care anymore. We'll start killing some NPCs while I cover these comments. Whoa, I forgot he parries. Wow, he's good. When he says he's not defenseless, he ain't kidding. Compared to Dark Souls 2 and Bloodborne's movement, this game's movement can feel a little stiff at times. The way to kill this guy is the same as a lot of player characters. When they start parry spamming, you just pivot around them and boom. We never freed Laurentius, so he's not here. Let me actually tackle all of the comments, because after this playthrough, we're done. So we got time left, guys. I'm going to click out of the game for just a minute, so you're actually going to see me Alt-Tab, and then it'll cut the audio for the game. Cameron Franklin says, I'm on a Samsung Galaxy Stellar, which is the first generation. The Stellar was shortened to just S on the later generations. Oh, cell phone, okay. I have an upgrade available with my carrier, and I will likely be getting the S4. I tend to go with what is cheapest. Unlike you and your wife, my better half went with the iPhone route. We've been married for 18 years. Yeah, my wife and I originally started with the 2nd gen iPhone. That was our first like touchscreen phone. Until then, we were using these flip phones from Vodafone in Japan, which was later taken over by... Oh, I can't remember. SoftBank. Yeah, it was originally SoftBank and then Vodafone. No, it was Vodafone, then SoftBank, I think. I can't remember. It was one, then it was taken over by the other. You know these phone companies, they're always being bought out and sold and all that. And then, of course, we went the, after the iPhone, we went the Android route, and I've never looked back. I think iPhone's fine. It's just that Android, let's be honest, this is a fact, Android gets more features and better features sooner than the iPhone. The iPhone sort of follows behind Android. They do get a couple different things, and there are some games specific to iPhone, but Android phones tend to get the features first. And Tony Para says, great video as always. That's definitely true. Visceral 3D says, played this game for so long, there's still areas I've never seen, like that path in Sins at time code 3. Oh, you've never been to the bottom of Sins Fortress? I have, because one of my favorite weapons, the scythe, is down there. Not the great scythe, just the scythe. Ricky Spanish says, I'm really enjoying the series. Thank you. Seth says, so much damage from many of the mobs. I bet it wouldn't feel too different if you were running around with 1 HP. Yeah, well, that can happen. Obviously, that would be one-shots from everything. Michael PCG says, hey, Fox, are you going to make more Japanese Bloodborne videos? Yes, I will, but it may take a while. It's not... I'm not putting a lot of priority on it because it's a ton of work. It's a ton of work to make them, so I kind of delay them. But I will get around to the series over time. Just sort of don't wait up for it. Let me just say that. Don't hold your breath for those episodes. Just kind of enjoy them when they do show up, and then you won't be disappointed. Ko Nurasaki says, it is a shame Fox doesn't have more views. His commentary is good, as is his play. And I told him that basically because this is my new Let's Play channel, it would have a lot more views if I were using my main channel. This channel only has, as of right now, a little over like, what, 1,100 subscribers? Something like that. Let's go talk to Frompt. Hey, buddy. Let's warp. Thank you. I could have warped from the bonfire as well. And Avalon says, oh, Ko Nurasaki says, still you deserve a good solid following. Thank you. Avalon535 says, I always enjoy some Foxeo. Keep up the great content, please. Thank you. By the way, guys, if you do want to support me and you don't want to have to pay anything, which is, you know, who wants to pay money? Well, of course, you can donate. There's a support button on my YouTube channel, as well as I have a Patreon account where you can donate on a monthly basis if you so choose. However, there's an easier and cheaper way to do it if you don't want to pay money, and that is simply tweet out my videos when you see them, retweet me on Twitter. You know, you can link my videos on your Facebook, like them on YouTube, subscribe if you haven't, of course. You know, all that good stuff. That does help quite a bit. It makes the video appear more popular on YouTube so that YouTube aggregates it higher in the search results. More people see it. The more people see it, the higher it aggregates. The more you share it, the more people see it. You know, all that stuff. Definitely also follow me on Twitter and like me on Facebook. All that stuff helps as well. It gives me more of a social media presence. Helps out a lot. Chaos Lord says, sup, Fox, getting prepared for a playthrough myself. Pinwheel gives the right of kindling. Yeah, you know, I was trying to think of the word for that, the right of kindling. Zelakiel says, always nice to look at the subscriptions feed and find it uploaded from you, Fox. Thank you. You know, I'm trying to be kinder because I tend to have I've had this tendency in the past to be rude to trolls, and what happens is, and someone else pointed this out, what happens is there'll be this person that trolls you for a while and you get sick of it, so you decide to be rude back to them. Look at this like line, that's from DS Fix. This is the only place in the game where it's like this obvious, but there's like this really clear line that goes through this area. It's from the mod. The mod's not perfect. It's a lot better than when it started. Man, when the mod started out, it was really, really crude. Like the background would be all jagged and blurry, and the foreground would be super high res. Yeah, it was kind of odd. No summons here, but you know, that's life. We didn't rescue Solaire, so oh well. And then Darian Wood says, another excellent video, Fox. Thank you. So basically, I'm going to alt-tab out real quick to get to the next comment section. Basically, what happens with the troll situation is, and I know people are like, oh, stop talking about trolls, we hate it so much. I understand that from your perspective, you just see trolls occasionally, but from, you know, an uploader's perspective, they see trolls constantly. So it's kind of a bigger deal for the uploader than it is for just your average viewer. But one thing to keep in mind is that when you see an uploader be really rude or mean to somebody, or seemingly mean, it may very well be because that person's been consistently rude and mean to the uploader, and the uploader finally decided to kind of give them a 1-2 or give them a what for, or whatever you want to say, you know, kind of respond in kind. And whether it's right or wrong, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, keep in mind that the uploader's probably not just being an absolute jerk out of nowhere. That usually doesn't happen. It's usually the result of either that person's been trolling them for a while, or this person's been rude. This person has posted a rude comment, and the uploader has just read like another dozen rude comments similar to it, and the uploader's response, the content creator's response, isn't so much a response just to this one rude person. It's sort of like me replying to this rude person is like kind of like me replying to the last 20 rude people combined. And I know that's not necessarily fair or the right way to do it, but that's kind of how it works sometimes. Remember, your content creators are regular people. And, oh, shoot. And they get angry, and they get frustrated, and they get offended, and they have their feelings hurt, but not really, probably not that often, because you just get used to people saying mean things on the internet, and eventually you get fairly callous to it, but it's not like it stops affecting you at all. It just stops affecting you as much. At least for me, that's the case. Darian Wood says it looks exactly like chocolate from a Hershey bar. Also, today is the first day that I'm playing Dark Souls, and I'm loving it so far. Great to hear, Darian Woods. There are always new players coming in. If you want, you can follow my beginner's playthrough. Just search for Dark Souls beginner's playthrough on YouTube, and it's the first search result. When he's talking about the Hershey bar, he's talking about that other episode where I showed that the busted piece of the podium in the Duke's Archives looked exactly like a chunk of a Hershey bar. Ethan Coatney says, I actually don't believe that Dark Souls 2 is a bad game. I just think that people are expecting it to have to be exactly like Dark Souls or Dark Souls 1. Like Dark Souls or Dark Souls 1, isn't that the same thing? Too many people forget that it's its own game and has its differences. Well, I would agree that it is its own game and it's going to be different, but I didn't expect it to be exactly like Dark Souls, nor did I necessarily want it to be exactly like Dark Souls. I just wanted it to be a good game. I don't think that's the issue. I don't think people are getting mad because it's not exactly the same. Because what happens when a developer makes a sequel and doesn't really change anything? People complain that it's exactly the same. So I don't think that's the issue at all. I don't think people expected the same game. I don't think that people expected it to be more similar to Dark Souls. I think people expected it to just give a better feeling when it comes to the controls and whatnot. I think people were genuinely disappointed in the game because of the game itself, not because of necessarily comparisons just to Dark Souls, although that factored in as well. The comparisons to Dark Souls made the game seem worse because it didn't live up to the standards of Dark Souls, not that it wasn't just like Dark Souls. I hope that makes sense. Brian Harrington says, black coffee is just not for me. It's usually too bitter for me to handle, especially French roast. Talk about unpalatable. As for tea, unsweetened is definitely the way to go. I agree with you with the tea. As for black coffee, well, I always drink my coffee black. I don't put anything in it. It just doesn't feel right. I can't do anything coffee flavored that's sweet. To me, coffee is like green tea. It should never, ever, ever come in a sweet form for the most part. Although in Japan, I will say that there are some green tea flavored sweets, like green tea candies, green tea, like matcha flavored ice cream. So, but for me personally, Wow, I think that's the first time I parried the jump attack with this guy. Sean Fuchs, which is like Fox with a double O, says Artorias playthrough. So I guess he wants me to do an Artorias playthrough. I've thought about it. I don't know if I would really like it that much, though. Lucky Filmer says, it's been a while since I played Dark Souls. Is that a custom role? It seems different. Dark Wood Grain Ring. And Visceral 3D answered him by saying Dark Wood Grain Ring. Visceral 3D also says, wow, I'm doing this while reading. Dude, I might have been a bit harsh in my comments, but I was worried you were going full dark side Phil on us. Wait a minute, is that this DSP that people have been talking about? Because occasionally people will be like, man, you remind me of DSP. And I never knew who or what that was. So I guess it's Dark Side Phil? Let me scroll up here. I just kind of alt-tabbed out of the game. And Amarthar Drakestone says, about the thing when it's not known who is really responsible for screwing up a game. In my opinion, if it's really not known and nobody wants to take the blame, it all lies somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't agree with that. I would say there is someone responsible. The thing is, though, if no one's going to take responsibility for it, to me, I'm going to apply the Japanese rule, which also is somewhat an American rule. Whoever's in charge, they're responsible. I mean, eventually the buck has to stop somewhere. And you can't keep passing it up. You can't keep passing it off to someone else. If you're in charge of the project and the project goes bad, unless you can point out why it went bad, unless you can point out some factor outside of your control, like your funding was pulled from someone else or something like that, which happened in the case of Xenogears, so the last disc of the game wasn't as good as the first. And that was a genuine excuse that people understood. And it's like, yeah, that's not his fault. The funding got pulled. He couldn't do anything about it. But Tanimura Yui hasn't given us anything as to why the game went bad. In fact, they just kind of doubled down on the game with Scholar of the First Sin, doubled down on all the stuff that a lot of us felt like was wrong with the game. So, with the lack of anything else, yeah, I'm going to hold the person responsible who's in charge. That's Tanimura. Tanimura Yui, or Yui Tanimura, if you want to have the first name first. Typical Western style. Japanese style is Tanimura Yui, where you have their family name and then their given name. I blame Tanimura. I think that's the most appropriate thing. I think that's the most accurate thing. Epic Name Bro has suggested that it may not really be his fault entirely. That Tanimura may actually have some very good influences on the Souls series in general, but he can't say anything else about it, so as much as I want to trust him, I just can't take him at his word with nothing else behind it, because we all know that Epic Name Bro tends to be overly positive, whereas some people blame me for being overly negative, and that's a valid criticism. I accept that in some regards. But I'm not just going to take someone at their word if I know the person is oftentimes overly unnecessarily positive. Always tries to see everything in a positive light. Because as much as people can say, oh, he's always cheerful and, kind of sees the world as the glass is half full and opportunities and optimists tend to be less honest than pessimists. I'll be honest with you. One of the great qualities of a pessimist is they'll be more honest with you. They'll be negative a lot, but they'll tell the truth more, because the truth is often pessimistic. That's how the world works, guys. The truth is often bad. Truth is often something you don't want to hear. The optimist will tell you that it looks great, don't worry about it. The pessimist will be like, I've seen better. It looks like crap. They'll tell you more truthful things, whether it hurts or not. Okay, let's move on to some other comments before we hit up Gwen here. Oh, let's continue with Marthar Drakestone's comment. He says, in other words, everyone was responsible in some capacity. I wouldn't necessarily blame the whole team, because most of the team that worked on Dark Souls 2 did grunt work. If you watch the Dark Souls 2 playthrough by a German spy, he really hit the point well that there are only a handful of people on a design team, on a development team for a game, that have any significant contribution in terms of the overall direction of the game. Most of the people working on the game, they're working on art assets, they're working on they're working on the mechanics of the interface, they're working on gravity mechanics and physics, they're working on, this element of creating these kill planes and kill boxes, and working on building the geographical structure of the world. There are only a couple people, maybe 5, maximum 10, but I'd be surprised if even more than 5. Only a handful of people that really make major design decisions for a game. And Tanimura was one of them. So I would blame the few people that had big decisions. And Amarthar also says, I'm sorry, but after all that's happened in the last few years, I don't trust publishers and I don't trust developers, either AAA or indie. That's why I don't pre-order, nor buy any game on day one. That's a great concept. Don't pre-order. I cannot stress that enough. Don't pre-order. Don't pre-order. There's so much about pre-ordering that hurts the consumer, way beyond just buying the game, before it's released. There are other factors that make pre-ordering bad for the industry. I realized we never really maxed out our Black Bow of Ferris, which is probably something we should look at. We could change this to our Dark Woodgrain Ring. Actually, let's look at how many Titanite chunks do we have? We have 3. We're not going to worry about it. We could upgrade it later if we really needed to. We're probably not going to do New Game Plus with this. V1NCN7 says, I started Dark Souls in PS3 this week, and now I've got all trophies. The PC version is definitely the best version. I agree. Ricky Spanish says, I played Dark Souls plenty, but every playthrough I find something new. That's absolutely true. You can never see it all or do it all in one go, like he says. V1NCN7 also says he's never slid through the floor, although that was a PC-only thing when using a high frame rate. I do think that backstabbing is the way to go with the boars, says Akis90GR, especially considering your build, high crit damage, high mobility, and all. Yeah, but you can't backstab the boars in the Duke's Archives, unfortunately, because they have plating everywhere. Toad Turd says, I find it better to roll backwards for Artorias spin attacks. Yeah, I would agree with that. Jared Adams says, Fox, would you ever do a Great Scythe playthrough on Dark Souls? A Great Scythe playthrough? Maybe not, just because I'm not actually that big a fan of the Great Scythe. Let's hit up some more comments, and then we'll get in there. Mario Rita says, just watch a YouTube video by Tanton50. He did a thief build, bandit knife only, no healing versus Knight Artorias. Used the red tearstone ring to up the damage, so it confirms that the game is not flawed. Sorry, the game does have flaws. I meant to say that the bandit knife is viable. Well, if you're using the dark wood, or if you're using the red tearstone ring, then again, you're changing your setup. I mean, it's possible. You can just keep dodging and dodging. It shouldn't require that you be an absolute expert. I mean, anything's possible. You could theoretically kill Artorias with an unupgraded bandit's knife, just as long as you were able to dodge 1,000 times flawlessly over and over and over again. It's possible. That doesn't prove that it's balanced properly, in my opinion. Marcus Collins says, I can't thank you enough for the walkthrough you did for beginners a while back. My buddy swore by this game, but I never had the patience. Finally, your narrative is clear and easy to follow. I'm currently 300 hours into this game with several characters. Greatest game series ever. It's literally ruined all the games in the genre for me. Yeah, that can happen. Like, you play other games similar to Dark Souls, and you're like, yeah, this game sucks. Jamie Fowler says, to stop Artorias, you need to shoot him in the head if you can't stagger him out of the power-up. Yeah, I found that out. Thank you. Unreal Prisoner says, hey, Fox, you actually can use the bow to stop Artorias from powering up. You even did it at 2916 without realizing it. Yeah, I picked up on that later. Alright, guys, well, I got to as many comments as I could. It's time to get back to the action. Let's do this thing. I think we're going to go with the Hornet's Ring, and we're probably going to try to parry him. I know it's risky, because if we miss, we'll get instantly staggered and likely hit again, and with low defense we'll see how it goes. Wow, I missed that first parry. Oh shoot. He's still gonna hit me. Yep, see, darn it. He does one, oh yep, dead. He does one attack that's so fast it's impossible to parry, because he does it so quickly that the very first frame he starts the attack, it's already too late to parry. There aren't too many attacks like that in this game. The attacks that do exist like that are generally follow-ups in a combo, so that's not problematic, because if you've been hit by the first attack in the combo, then you're not going to have time to parry for the second one unless you can fully withstand the attack with enough poise to not be staggered. However, that does become a much bigger issue in Bloodborne, and also to some extent in Dark Souls 2. But a much bigger issue in Bloodborne. Titanite chunk. Alright, let's try this again. I'm not going to try to parry that first attack because I'm not too good at it. And I don't want to start out by getting hit and staggered and having to try to recover from that first hit. So we'll just dodge that first hit. Oop, no parry sound effect there. That happens occasionally on the PC version. The riposte effect, or the parry effect. The parry sound effect just goes missing. I also thought it was really good form on the part of FromSoft. It was just really good decision to have you fight a series of Black Knights here, where each one can drop its weapon for you. And each one mandatorily drops a different type of upgrade material. So essentially, if you haven't fully upgraded yet, this is your chance. And if you've gone through the whole game and haven't gotten the Black Knight weapon that you want, this is your chance. Of course, you're at the end of the game now, but at least you can bring it in New Game Plus. I think you actually get 2 regular Titanite chunks. Yeah, you get 2 regular Titanite chunks, which is a good choice because that's most likely the one you're going to need. You get a red chunk, a white chunk, and a blue chunk. So no matter what upgrade path you're on, you can use the chunks here to get it up to either the maximum or the second to last upgrades spot. You know, they don't give you Titanite slabs, so that's one thing. Oh, I thought I missed that, but I didn't. In prior days of the PvP in this game, people really enjoyed using like the Black Knight Great Axe. That was a fairly popular weapon early on. However, as time went on, I noticed fewer and fewer people using it because it became too easy to parry. Once people got good at parrying, like once people learned how to parry online in PvP, it changed things. It radically changed things. Like the whole PvP landscape changed in regards to the type of art. I mean, just all the equipment people would use kind of changed up. People preferred different weapons over others at that point, just because things were different then. I got a partial parry on that first hit. Look how much damage that does. You barely have enough time to Estus once before he can hit you again. Wow. Okay. Oh, there we go. I'm going to try to Estus here, even though it's risky. Got him, okay. Missed that first one, but I got him on the second one. Oh, shoot, I rolled the wrong way. Oh my gosh, no! Go, 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 go. Got him. That's it. That's it, guys. That is it. We died once, but we took him out in the second try. It's been so long since I fought that guy. So long. At least it feels like it. Well, we stretched out this episode quite a bit by reading off the comments. I usually finish by lighting the bonfire, but I guess we'll do the different route this time, just to be different. And with that, I want to thank you for joining me for our Dark Souls Thief playthrough. All we added to the basic equipment was rings and a bow. Other than that, we used the base gear that you started the game with.
My Lord, bless thy safe return.
We'll skip it. We've always skipped it. And with that, guys, we'll go ahead and call it. So thank you once again. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. You can like me on Facebook. You can also do the Google Plus thing, although they're kind of phasing that out. Subscribe on YouTube right here at Foxeo Plays. Subscribe at FoxeoGames, my main channel. And we'll see you for the next Dark Souls playthrough, whenever that is, whatever that is, in the future. Thanks, guys, for taking this journey with me. And I'll see you next time.